Imagine this. It is the year 2025 and every single person, for the most part, has access to all kinds of information, photos, videos, just sneak peeks into so many people's lives 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we live in this culture where things are so hard to tell between whether it's advertising or genuine people sharing their lives. The lines are so blurred that it's really hard to tell. And we have people aspiring to be something called a influencer. And influencers are a career path, and it is something that a lot of people are, and a lot of people aspire to be, and a lot of people fall into. And while I don't see harm with social media just as a whole in every aspect, and I don't even see harm with people who are these influencers necessarily in itself, I do see harm with some of the mindsets that people are getting through watching these influencer type videos, as well as just the culture of being influenced in general. Of course, ever since media, really, even before so, there has been an aspect of advertising, and I'm not somebody who's anti-business altogether. Of course, people need to make incomes, people want to own products, and that is not a bad thing. That is just part of the world. But we're living in a time where mental health is on the decline, but social media is on the increase, and these types of videos of influencing people, especially to maybe purchase more products than what they really need, I see a lot of harm in it. And so I think we need a little bit more de-influencing on the internet. And not to say that anybody is wrong for making purchases that they want to make, but I think it is important to get a full picture on what's going on. So when it comes to something being sold to you, what's really going on to make those things, as well as really helping you to dissect, is it necessary? So that's really what I want to get into today. This is going to be my first of, I'm planning to do a few of these types of videos. And today's topic is going to be clothing, specifically probably fast fashion, but honestly, just clothing in general. But before I begin fully, my name is Catherine. I make videos here on YouTube talking about all things just slow, simple, natural living for the most part, just my journey with it and what that looks like for me, trying to just help you to be happier and do the same. Sometimes I like to do more vlog style content, but also I like to just sit down and have chats like I am today. So if that sounds appealing to you, please consider hitting that subscribe button to see more videos when they come out. But let's just go ahead and hop right in. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just do a little bit of a reaction to the type of content I'm really thinking about when I'm thinking about these fashion influencing type of videos. And of course, no negativity to any creators I react to, but I do want to look at it because it helps us to get an understanding of what I'm talking about and kind of the culture I'm referring to a little bit. So let's go ahead and watch some of this. So let's pull this up. First off, a big one in this kind of sphere is these super cheap, fast fashion brands. Shein is a good example. I'm going to talk about why that is negative and why you should really probably reconsider buying from places like that. But people are buying a whole bunch of clothes, and you know, of course, it's your money. You can do what you'd like, but especially when it's being put on the internet and people are seeing this and getting ideas of what they might want to aspire to achieve as well, it adds to a lot of different problems, which I'll get into why we shouldn't be probably purchasing from them, and also just the amounts. So I'm noticing in this particular video here, this girl is getting the same kind of outfit in all kinds of different colors, which I'm not saying is a bad thing to do if she really, really likes those outfits, but there's just a lot of it, and most people probably don't need the same outfit in all these different colors. It's probably not necessary. Yeah, so she got quite a big haul and a lot of stuff, like I was saying, same design, just different colors, which, you know, all power to her if she really enjoys that, but it just seems a little bit unnecessary. And again, the huge purchase from Shein, And the argument could definitely be, let people spend their money on whatever they want to spend it on. Yeah, of course they can. But it's more so the culture of the influencer that I'm trying to dissect a little bit and what it's doing. So if we look at the comments on this video, it's a lot of codes. Try on with the codes. We need the codes. I want to stay on the Shein side of TikTok. I need to get the codes for all of these clothes. To me, this is promoting overconsumption. It's really getting people in the mindset of wanting more, wanting to have more fashion, more clothes. And it makes me think especially about younger people too, growing up with this form of media. That's all they're going to see. And I know, because I've been a young girl, all women, all girls have been young girls. We are so easy to influence at certain ages. We are trying to discover our personalities. We're trying to be unique, usually to some extent. We're trying to understand who we are, especially as young girls. And in this culture of constant change in the fashion, change in what's not in, and having these influencer type videos of constantly buying these new huge hauls of clothes that change with every season, change with every aesthetic. It's harmful, I think, for the developing brain, but even for older people who may struggle with shopping addiction and things of that nature. It's feeding into the lie that we need more in order to be happy, and that we should, continue this overconsumption of something in order to just express ourselves, which is just not necessary. Let me pull up the next one I wanted to look at. This is another Shein haul, and I'm not going to watch through all the trying on, but just looking at all the packages coming out of that box, that's crazy to me. That's so much clothes. And just seeing how much for clothes is in the background as well. And a lot of things honestly look the same, which is fine if you want to wear like the same outfit all the time, but I just don't know why you need that many. Then just do the laundry, right? Here's another one. This one's for spring. So as we said, people having this idea to get new clothing for the seasons. And it said a Shein haul again, so I wonder if all of the clothing being shown is from Shein or what's from Shein. I'm not sure. This one I thought was interesting because she goes on to say that she was inspired by, I believe she's a singer. I know I sound really dumb. What's her name? Sabrina Carpenter. I'm not well versed in singers, so that sounds really dumb. I should Google it. Yes, she's a singer-songwriter, and I think she's very popular right now, which is fine. And that girl can wear whatever clothes she wants, and it's not a bad thing to take inspiration from people, of course, but I find it's just really common, especially with people with celebrities. And now the influencers are becoming the celebrities. And so people see people wearing clothing that looks a certain way, and they want to go change out their whole wardrobe because of it. I heard a little bit about, apparently there was somebody who decided that they were going to start wearing skinny jeans again or something like that. And people were saying, oh, they need to throw out all their mom jeans and only wear skinny jeans now. No, you don't. Of course you don't. Those are just some kind of examples of the culture I'm talking about. The types of videos that are out there, people getting these huge hauls, people just showing their new fashion trends for the seasons, just that kind of vibe, I guess. And I want to go ahead and de-influence you a little bit and share some of the reasons behind why giving into these kinds of trends or watching these kinds of videos and this kind of content may not be the best for you. And if once I'm done telling you everything, you still want to, go ahead and get those clothing items or watch those kinds of videos, more power to you. I just want to be a little bit of a different way to look at things and just add my 2 cents there just a little bit. So, one, a lot of these hauls come from fast fashion. Of course, there is the thrift versions of these too. I'll talk a little bit about thrifting in a bit, but the majority of these videos that I've been seeing is fast fashion from places like Shein. I think Temu does clothes, or maybe not, but just these brands like that. And there is a lot of impacts that fast fashion makes negatively. So first, let's just talk about environmental impacts. So from studies from Boston University, it has been found that about 34 billion pounds of textiles, so that's like what clothing's made out of, are thrown away just in America alone every year. 34 billion pounds. That is an insane number, and that's just for America as well. Of course, these fashions are in many places in the world. 66% of this fashion is sent straight to the landfills, so the gas and chemical leaching from some of the components of some of these clothing items can leach into things like the soil, the water, even just in air pollution, and it can be very harmful to not only animals, but to humans as well. A lot of people burn clothing items, burn old clothes, or sometimes these clothes get stuck in waterways, making flooding and other bad things happen. It's just all around not a net positive for the earth. It is very negative to add all this waste to the landfills and having that leach into everything. Especially some of these cheaper clothing options, they're made out of materials that do not just naturally decompose, like wool. A lot of them are made out of these plastics, these cheap plastics too, that don't even hold up over time. So even if you do choose to get it and you like it for a while, eventually it's going to wear out. And once it does, there's not easy ways to repair those kinds of materials either. So you really do end up having to throw it out, and that adds to the waste as well. I think it's hard for us to imagine it because we don't see in our country, we don't see these landfills typically. We don't see where all of this waste is going. It's not right in front of us. So it's easy to kind of disassociate ourselves from that issue. However, it is still an issue that exists. And I have yet to even get into my second reason why we should probably avoid this, which is the impact on the workers. So in case you didn't know, some of the countries that are the biggest producers of fast fashion include China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and many others as well. But these bigger companies that produce fast fashion are always trying to find where they can pay the cheapest amount for the labor, so they get moved around pretty frequently. Workers are often made to work upwards of 15 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. So that's about a 96-hour work week. And oftentimes their workplace is an environment that is not safe for them at all. So this includes everything from just unstable, unsafe buildings to breathing in toxic fumes due to lack of ventilation usually. And these workers often face mental and even sometimes physical abuse from those that are superiors to them, even to the point of harassment and maybe even sexual harassment to some individuals as well. And child labor is also extremely prevalent in these fast fashion industry workplaces. So just logically speaking, if something is cheaper for us to obtain, that ultimately means it must have been cheap for the production of them. And if we think about some of the clothing in some of these fast fashion hauls and stuff like that, of course the materials are kind of cheap, so that makes sense, but a top being $6 in our economy today, what do you think that means that the worker got paid? Because of course these companies, they're not trying to make a little bit of profit, they're trying to make the most profit. So they have to pay the workers, of course, and they want to make the most off of the product sold that they can. So if we're getting something for very cheap, that means they are not being paid very much to make it. I think a misconception some people may have, just because we're living in such a modern era, is that machines and stuff can make these clothes. When it comes to sewing, it is almost definitely being done by hand by somebody, and unfortunately in the fast fashion industry, that somebody is probably not getting paid very much at all and is having to work in very, very poor conditions. So that is just another reason why I think we need to make sure that our purchases are thought about and not influenced by others, how they look, how you think, oh, if I had those clothes, then I could be like that girl too. Let's not do that. Before I get to my personal thoughts and solutions, I also wanted to touch a little bit on personal and mental health impacts that this industry can cause for people. So constantly trying to keep up with trends, trying to stay in, trying to be fashionable, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. And it truly is for a lot of people's mental health. One, people who are suffering with this type of shopping type addiction and always feeling like they need to make that new purchase or have that new item in order to feel something, that is a never-ending spiral, because one, no item or no outfit that you can throw together will ever make you feel good about yourself if you don't already feel good about yourself. And additionally, it's just chasing another type of high. Just like anything else, it is the high of making the purchase and the excitement of getting something. But once you have it, it's just going to be another part of the clutter, truly. And I am not sitting here telling people that we all need to be minimalist or all need to be any certain way. We can have whatever kind of clothing collection we want. But to a certain point, it does just add to the things and the mess and the stress and the clutter. And if you do get to a point that you're over it and want to clear it out, that's great, but that's when, again, it adds to the problem of things being put into the landfills. When it comes to purchasing, especially in this time where money, everything is inflated, everything's expensive, you work hard for your money, you should not be so easy to give it to anything that comes along. So this is not me telling you to never make a new purchase or to never buy clothes or to not have fun shopping, but it is just some introspection on what it means bigger picture wise. So let's get into my personal solutions. So you may say, oh, well, the solution is just go thrift all your clothing. While that is helpful and that will make an impact, I think we can take it a step deeper as well. Because for one, not all thrift stores are created equal. I mentioned Goodwill before. Goodwill has a lot of issues. As a chain store, they're known for not paying their employees very well as sometimes just throwing away donations simply due to them not wanting to stock them at that time. And also, deciding to just thrift all your purchases doesn't address the issue of the overconsumption mindset that you may have. I personally think it should be a practice to truly evaluate the clothing that you have and its purpose in your life. And that purpose can be any purpose you want it to have. I'm not saying we all have to be super practical all the time. If you have your going out on a fairy tale adventure dress on the ready, that is great. And if you only wear it like once in a great while, that is okay, because that's important to you and you love it, and that's fine. But what I'm trying to get at is that if every time you go out to have a fun time, you are like, oh, this is a red sweater because it's Valentine's Day, woohoo. Do you need that? Are you going to wear red all the time? How many sweaters do you already have? Are you going to wear it once and then be over it? Just those kinds of questions. Like, truly, what's the material? Is it actually a nice material that'll last? Is it going to, as soon as I put it in the wash, get all weirdly textured and not be nice anymore? That is a big one with a lot of these really soft garments that I'm seeing, is that they're super soft in the store, but as soon as you wash them, which you need to do, that texture is no more. And then you don't want it anymore, and the fabric's usually really thin and not good. So it's just about thinking about things beforehand. We should also really have the mindset to want to repair our clothes. Of course, there's situations where this is not possible or they're too far gone. The amounts of underwear that I should probably throw away, that sounds so gross, not in a gross way, but because I've had them for so long that they're falling apart, I need to do better being a little more of a consumer, clearly. That's just me saying there are points where it's to the point of no return, right? But we should be in the mindset to, if something gets a hole or a stain, maybe we don't need to throw it away. Maybe we can patch it. Maybe we can sew it back up. And if you want to go all out, you can become somebody who alters clothing to make it something new, or even makes clothing from scratch if you need something. If you're somebody who really likes finding new hobbies, then I would look into that because it's a great one to have. It's such a great skill. This is slightly off topic, but I just remember hearing stories from my grandmother when materials were hard to find for making clothing, and people would actually use the flour sacks that flour came in to make and sew clothes for the kids, especially made dresses for the little girls. And so the flour companies actually started putting pretty designs on the flour sacks so that the dresses could be even prettier. And I think that's just such a wonderful point in history. Not necessarily everything going on in history, but just that kind of mindset, that kind of thing happening. I feel like it doesn't really happen anymore like that. There's things that are beautifully packaged, but the packaging still needs to be thrown away. It's just such a great moment of seeing a need and seeing what people are doing in a company, taking a step to make it better for the people, and just such a great way to reuse and recycle as well, truly. Sorry, that was just a little bit of a side tangent, but I just think that's so cool. But in conclusion, this is all not to say that it's wrong to buy new things, that it's wrong to like shopping, or it's wrong to have a personal style. That's not what I'm getting at all. But truly, it's to just have a bigger perspective on the big picture and seeing where a lot of these influencers, some of them, they're probably just sharing what they enjoy. And that's great. And I'm never going to bring somebody down for having hobbies like enjoying shopping or clothes. That's not what I'm here to do. We can all be different. But a lot of these influencers make their money by selling you these things because they're either sponsored by these fast fashion companies or through affiliate links. And in this day and age, it's really hard to see the difference between somebody genuinely sharing what they like in their day and somebody who is fully a salesman. If you start looking at some of these videos with the perspective of maybe they're just kind of almost like a door-to-door salesman saying how much this item changed their life, right? It gives you a little bit of a different look on it. And so ultimately, I just hope that you will make your decisions for yourself and not let anybody persuade you one way or another. But if you like this kind of content and would like to see more in the future, please consider subscribing to join this community of like-minded folk. As I think I mentioned, I would like to do this as kind of a series. I want to make a few different videos of de-influencing you on certain products or certain categories because there's so many things, so many things being pushed out on the internet that I just think we need to calm down. And the world of the internet can be such a beautiful place, truly. It's amazing that we are able to have this technology to bring people together, to share information, to share culture, to share a bunch of beautiful things. But at the same time, it means we have to deal with all the shenanigans that comes with it as well. I do hope to see you in the next one though, and until then, take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.